Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode. In this episode series, I'm going to be making bread. And so it's a request from my wife because she didn't want to go to the store and buy bread because she knows I can make better bread than the ones you buy at the store. So, you see my other video series, you'll know I do a little cooking. Mostly with the barbecue pit outside, and today I'm going to be making bread with the barbecue pit, and basically it's, pretty much a big oven, and so that's going to be this episode series. And for those of you who are new to my episodes and my video style, my videos are unedited, uncut, raw footage, just the way I'm doing it. You're seeing what I'm seeing. You're seeing what I'm doing as well. Nothing rehearsed, just as I'm doing it. And they're a little bit longer than your typical video. So if you get a little tired or you get bored, feel free to skip around and look at whatever you want to look at. So while you're here, it helps if you just click on a few ads too. Hint, hint. Anyways, if you see my other cooking series, I made cookies, and these are some of the batch I made up recently. I make cookies all the time, and this is a request from my daughter, who requests cookies right before she goes to bed. So basically I don't spend all night, but most of my baking is done at night, so by the morning they have fresh cookies or fresh bread. I make croissants, which maybe I'll do a series on that, but maybe not, I don't know. And so some of the ingredients you'll need to make to make bread, I kind of gave it away, is good old flour. I use a little bit of Prairie Gold. Not that it means anything, it's just whole wheat. So I use unbleached whole wheat, non-GMO wheat. I don't think wheat is genetically modified yet to a certain degree as corn, but it's getting there. And then whole wheat flour. And then water. Okay. Water, and what's the other ingredient here? You need some good old salt. Alright. Salt, and then let's see here, some yeast. I just use bread machine yeast. That way I don't have to bother activating it. Activates itself when I put the water in, So anyways, I'm moving around here. Oh, there's my cat, Mr. Mittens. He stays up with me. He's a male cat, so he's trying to kill me. He's just waiting for me to walk around, and he, steps right in front of me, almost kills me, that kind of stuff. Okay, anyways, let's get a good old stainless steel bowl here. It's really dark, but that's alright, you don't need to see that. All you need to see is this here. There we go. Stainless steel bowl, pretty big. Big stainless steel bowl. And then, what else? I'm a little thirsty. I'm gonna have some water. And I put it in this thing because it keeps the water cold or hot or whatever, and it's a big cup of water too. So oh man, that hit the spot. So okay, And you know what? I'm gonna grab a cookie too. And if you are interested in how I make these cookies, I'll put a link on so you could see it. And a little trick I use, and I'll just go ahead and I'll tell you, is I save a lot of money on making cookies. The dough part is really simple. It's the chocolate chip. There's a little tip I give you in that series where you can basically, one bag will last you dozens and dozens and dozens of cookies. So I'm gonna go ahead and just eat one. Mmm, mmm, mmm. Wow, delicious. Forgive me if I'm eating, but I'm just a little low on energy. You know, I spend all night making bread or making food or preparing food for the next day. And then I spend all day like working in the garage and doing other things. Also keeping up with all the other episode series that I'm doing here. If you're interested in some of the things I'm doing, I got a lot of videos that you can tune into. Please view my channel. Also, you know, you can also subscribe to just get the feeds once you get up to date with all the videos that I do. How much cookie I've eaten. Don't worry, I'll get to the bread part. Just let me eat some cookie. Like I said, this is all raw footage, no editing here. So if I'm eating cookie, that's what you're gonna be. Well, you're not gonna be watching me eating cookie, but first person view as well. This is all first person view, so you're just kind of seeing it like this. Oh. I'm almost done here. See, almost done. Got a little chocolate chip on my finger, but that's alright. I ate it off. Yeah. Alright. Alright. Man, that hits the spot. I can get some water too. Oh man. Okay. Now I'm gonna be ready to make bread. Oh wow. Okay. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead and strap you into my holster, which is hooked onto my chest or onto my collar. And forgive me if it turns off or falls out, or you just can't see anything because you know, I can't see it recording really. But this is probably the best way where I can get my hands free and then kind of show you what I'm doing. Right, so. Oh man, this thing's heavy. So of course you need the flour. Let's just move some of these things out of the way here. So you need some flour. That's for sure. Alright. Put that away. But you know, what I do is I use you don't have to get this brand, or you don't even have to do this really. You can just go all all-purpose flour right here. You don't even have to use this brand. I just buy the cheapest flour there is because I just saves money. So, but what I like to do is put 1 cup of whole wheat flour, and then 3 cups of just all-purpose flour. But you don't have to do that. You can just do all-purpose, 4 cups of all-purpose. And the reason I do 4 cups is I find where I live, which is in Houston, the humidity level here is very high. And I find that using 4 cups works well than like 3.5 or 3. But I also use about 1 in, I believe it's 1.5 to 1 3/4, somewhere around there. I just have to kind of play with it a little bit. There's a certain consistency that I'm looking for when I make my dough. But again, you're gonna have to just experiment, just like I did when I first started making bread. The first bread I made really sucked, but I ate it. And then by eating the horrible bread that I made, I got to learn how bread is made, and also how it tastes on how you make your bread. So practice makes perfect. That's all I can say as far as making bread, anyway. So let's do some measuring cups, and now I just have just half a cup, so I have to scoop twice just to get 1 cup. But I've also tried this. I've measured. I've taken 2 scoops and put it into a larger one of these, and it actually comes out very, very accurate to the volume that I need. So if you don't want to do this all day, that's fine. Just take a big one of these and just scoop it in there and just plow it. But I just do this. So anyways, let's see what we got here. Okay. And see, that's what I do here. I scrape it in, make it flat on top. Supposedly this is already what they call the no, it's not filtered. It's siphoned, not siphoned, shifted. I guess that's the word for it. Pre-shifted or something like that. Anyways, let's just get back to doing this. I put 1 cup, so this is half cup. So 1, 2, and I'm so surprised how real easy it is to make bread. It's easier than I thought. When I first started making bread, I thought I had to buy a bread machine, because you see them all over the place for sale, like for $100, $50, whatever they cost, and that's what I thought I had to buy. And then just like what you're doing now, I watched some YouTube videos, and I realized, wow, making bread is not that difficult. And on top of that, I don't really even need the bread all that much. I just kind of need it to get the dough into, get it together. But I don't spend hours and hours massaging a piece of bread I'm going to be eating. And it still comes out pretty good, in my opinion. May not look like exactly like the store-bought stuff, but nonetheless, it tastes good, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. So that's 1 cup, 2 cups. So I need 2 more cups of the flour. Remember, my scoop is only half a cup, so I have to do this twice. 1. Let's see if I could hurry up for you, because I know you're probably getting bored watching me doing this. 2, so 1, 2, 3, and I do 1 more. 3, and then 4. Okay, and this is also which happens to be, and I'll do an episode series on this as well. This is the same stuff that I use for my pizza dough. And you probably, if you've seen my other episodes where I have the pizza already made, this is, I use the same bread, the same ingredients that I use for my bread, I use for my pizza dough. The only difference is, I don't let the pizza dough, I don't let it rise. You know, I get a roller and I flatten it. I'm not that good at, I can't spin it around or do all this other fancy stuff. So I just get a roller, and if you like to spend money, which I know some of you people like to spend your hard-earned money or other people's hard-earned money, which is cool. But if you don't like to spend that much money, you know, and you like to keep a lot of it and you know, accumulate wealth, you know, some people like to do that. This is a it's not a roller. It's a closet rod, closet pole, and I actually got it to replace a umbrella, a parasol that one of my neighbors, they broke their parasol. They broke the stick part, and they threw it away. The umbrella was fine. The parasol part was fine. It's just the stick to hold it up broke in half. And just to give you a little info about me, I used to be in the building material business, so I know a lot about, you know, building materials, construction, and stuff like that, especially residential construction. And I can, you know, something like this. This is just pine, solid pine. It's super duper cheap. It's like you know, 10 to 15 cents a foot, and I think I got 10 foot for like less than $5. So I use 8 foot of it. Yeah, I think so. I use 8 feet of it as the pole to the parasol. So I got a free parasol or big umbrella. I just have to make a table for it. And then the extra foot I basically cut because I wanted to have a rolling pin. And it's not like round or anything, but you know what? It's a good beating stick as well, but it's super cheap. So I kind of cut it into two. This is about I think 18 inches, a foot and a half. And then I got a smaller one because at some point I was thinking about making dumplings or stuff like that. So I got these smaller ones to make smaller things. You know, when you start getting to pastry, you can you realize that because of the nature of pastry, you could sky's the limit. So you know, just get a saw, which I have a episode series on a miter saw. If you ever want to get a miter saw to do this, to cut this. But anyway, that's just a little. I know I got sidetracked, but that's just the way I do my videos. All right, and it's to help you guys. Anyway, so back to this. I got my flour in here, right? Remember, we got 4 cups, 1 cup of whole wheat, 3 cups of all-purpose. So the flour is done. Let's put it away. It's taking up so much space. So, all right. And that's where I just put my flour right here. Yeah, right there. And hopefully you're seeing this. I'm sorry if you're not, but oh well, it's life. And so I'm going to take this, and I usually here. I like a wooden spoon. I like to use a wooden spoon, but you don't have to use a wooden spoon. You can use whatever you want. You can use your hands. I'll usually wear gloves, but I don't really touch the dough at this point, so, or really any of the ingredients, so I'm not going to wear any gloves. I'm just going to mix this to make sure that it's just, you know, that the whole wheat is mixed with the all-purpose flour, and you know, we just get a good, nice, even kind of color to it. And also the, you know, the from what I understand, the whole wheat is a little bit heavier than the all-purpose. So I'm just trying to make it even, so it doesn't get heavy on one spot of the bread. But it shouldn't happen, because if you're mixing it with the water, eventually it'll just mix really good. Alright, so now we're ready to make some bread. You ready? Well, almost ready. Salt. Alright, got salt. And then it's just 1 tablespoon of salt. 1 tablespoon of salt. So I'm just going to try to do it here so y'all can see. 1 tablespoon of salt. Okay. And what's great about making bread is it's not an exact science. You know, you don't have to be a scientist or a chemist to do this. You just have to be a person who's interested in making bread. Which, if you're watching this series, that's kind of what you're doing, right? I hope. Okay. So we got that. And then I just mix it in again, just to make sure the salt's kind of even. That's what's going to give it its, I think it's going to give it the flavor. The salt gives, you know, gives it the taste of bread, you know. Otherwise it would just be, I think it would just be chalky. I never made bread without salt, but maybe I will one day and feed it to somebody else and ask them how it tastes. So go ahead and do that experiment on someone else, of course, you know, not on yourself, because you don't want to be tasting bad food, do you? So yes, this is a lot of flour, and it's going to be a lot of bread. But what's ironic is, like I said, when I make my pizza dough, it's the same thing as when I make my bread. And then when I make the pizza dough and I flatten it, it doesn't seem like a lot, versus the bread, and when I let it rise, it looks so much bigger, you know, but it's just air. So when you're eating bread, you're basically just eating a lot of air, if you think about it. So this is what I use. You don't have to use this particular, but you don't even have to do this. But I use this because you know, I don't really have to activate, you know, warm it up with hot water or warm water and then wait for it to bubble and activate. I just go ahead and just put this right in there, and it seems to work. Matter of fact, this is how you would make bread with a bread machine. You would just put this in there and do this, mix it, voila, you got your dough, and then you stuff it into a bread machine and bread. But I don't do that, but I do use this because it's just, you know, very easy and convenient. And again, it's 1 tablespoon. So it's I kind of use it that way because I can memorize the ingredients. It's basically 4 cups of flour. What I do is I use 1 cup of whole wheat, 3 cups of all-purpose, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of yeast. And I'm just using the bread machine yeast because it's easier, because I just mix it in and then while I get going, you know what, there's not really a lot left, so I'm just going to pour the whole thing. Yeah, that's about 10 tablespoons. You don't have to be exact. If you really want, you can put 2 tablespoons. You can put 1.5 tablespoons. I really don't think it matters, as long as the bread rises, and that's what's going to really matter for this situation, because that's what's going to help is the yeast. It's going to help the bread rise, supposedly. Then again, from what I understand from my own research, even if you didn't have yeast, the bread would probably still rise because it would naturally form yeast. Okay? So, anyways, so I'm just going to go ahead and mix that in. Excuse me if you don't see anything, but you know, I'm sure you're seeing something. I'm kind of getting an idea. I'm looking at the camera, and Um, and I'm seeing this. I can't see the screen. That's the problem. But I see the edges of the screen, and that's why you see me kind of move around and do this kind of weird stuff. I'm looking where my hands are reaching the edge, and that's where I'm giving me my space here, so I know that I'm within the viewing space. I just mix it in. So this is pretty much where you got your dry ingredients here, and I don't have a bread machine. This is all done by hand because bread machines. Not bread machines. Mixing machines, especially really good ones. They're like a couple $100 to $300 to $400, $500. The bigger ones are a couple thousand. Of course, that's industrial grade. I don't have that. Well, let me rephrase that. I do have that money, and if I wanted one, I can get one. But I really don't want to spend that kind of money because, again, there's some. If you're the type that likes to spend your money, then by all means get one. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're the type that don't really feel like you need to buy one because you see the value in doing things by yourself, kind of like a do-it-yourselfer type of person, male or female, doesn't matter. There's a sense of a non-monetary reward in doing things, and it may not be cheaper to do it. It could be cheaper to do it, but there's certainly a gratification that doesn't translate into money. So that's my point. But for those of you who would like a mixer or mixing bread dough mixing thing, it does help. I'll tell you that. I mean, you just do all this. You don't even have to mix it. You just like turn it on, off. You should be done in no time. But I don't. So I'm just going to do it the way I do it here because that's the way I like to do it. So voila. There you go. So that's what it kind of looks like. Not very impressive, is it? So that's it. And then the final ingredient, the secret ingredient of all this is the water. So what I got here is, just trying to get a reference here. What I got here is 4 cups. You're not going to need 4 cups. I only do about 1 3/4 cups of water. This is just big. We just got this because I wanted a bigger cup measuring thing. I usually use the smaller one. And maybe this ought to help because I'll give you a reference. You can see a little bit better. Because I use 1 3/4. Let me see. There we go. 1 3/4 cup. So I'll just use this. That way we can see all of it. And if you've seen, while I was looking at my cat, you probably noticed I have knee pads on because I often have to get down on my knee to do things. And I've noticed that my knee is, every time I bang my knee or I kneel down, and I'm noticing, even with my knee pads, my knees kind of ache. So that's why I got knee pads. I use 1 3/4 water. That's because that's what I want to use. And this is just room temperature. It's not warm, but if you want to, you can warm it. So to get the, I guess I'll warm it. I'll warm it like 1 minute, just to get it warm. I don't want it hot. Maybe 1 minute's too long. I don't know. I have to touch it and feel it. But I think the warm water does help because I've noticed on warmer temperatures the dough, the bread dough, tends to rise a lot, and it's kind of impressive to have a nice big fluffy, loaf of bread. And I think that's kind of what you look for. Looks tend to play a lot in the way you think it tastes when you're making bread, in my opinion. So anyways, okay, it's warmed up a little. Or you could just put water in the stove and just, be there for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. But it still only takes a minute. So the water's warm, but it's not, boiling. And that's just to get the yeast, get them going. And you don't have to be too fancy about it. Just, sorry, if you missed it. I just pour it in. That's all. And then I start mixing. And I just, I kind of work the sides a little bit. You can do it whatever way works for you. Eventually, you just have to trust it and believe in yourself, and that the dough will just start forming. And don't be scared. Don't feel like you need to put more water in. Just mix. If you just mix, it will form. And this is kind of this is probably the only part where I really need do any type of kneading is, just to get the dough all together. That's all. And that's the only reason why I would knead, because after a while you're most likely gonna, oh, I know you are, you're just gonna let the dough rise anyway. You gotta give it at least 2 hours to rise. And so, there we go. This is where the dough machine would help, but you can do this without it. It doesn't have to be, by the time it rises, it'll look like dough. And then I may knead it again just a little bit, just to make sure that all the dough is all in there. So this is probably where I should put the gloves on. Okay. It does get a little sticky. So that's kind of what it looks like, kinda. I usually have a little knife that I like to have, and so I can scrape. Matter of fact, here it is. We don't use this knife. I only use it to scrape the dough off, to do this. And there's not really a whole lot on the stick. Okay, and a wooden stick here, or whatever this is, wooden spoon, whatever. So just keep my fingers from getting all, sticky and all that. I'll use these gloves. They don't have any powder to them, but they're too big. I bought them too big, so I wish they weren't. But I already bought them, so gotta use them. Oh well. At least we know if it'll fit everybody. So I use these in 5 mil. Works great. So this is kind of where I just start kneading. There you go. And I could feel the dough being warm and everything. And the reason why I just knead is just to get the leftover piece right here. The leftover pieces kind of just get into that, and then anything else sticking on the side of the bowl, that they'll start hopefully coming off. When you do it by hand, they don't always 100% always come off. And you could put this on here and put flour and do the whole kneading thing, but knock yourself out, man. Knock yourself out. Have fun with that. You want to fantasize about making bread? That's a good way. That's a good fantasy. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying go ahead, knock yourself out. But I'm just trying to make some bread without, you know, going back to the dark ages or anything. But just there's some people like it, which is fine. There's no problem with it. It's just not my style. And if that's your style, hey, I don't have any problems with it. No issues with you, okay? So if you start looking at it now, it looks like dough, you know? It's starting to really look like dough. And just I knead it within this bowl because the bowl has the leftover dough on it. So I'm just trying to make sure you let the water kind of get all sticky, and it'll start getting sticky on you, but it shouldn't get too sticky where it's gooey and everything. It should be touchable but a little tacky, if that makes sense. So there you go. See, I'm touching it, but I can let go. And I'm trying to see if it could pick up the other pieces of dough. But if it can't, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Just have to scrape it off. So basically, this is what your machine would be doing that you're doing, except you're putting in the effort and work and everything. And it's quite a bit of workout. Okay. So, this is good for me. I'm not going to knead it all the time. I'm just trying to be clean with it a little bit, and this is kind of the consistency that I look for. If you look for a different consistency, that's fine. And this is kind of where I just stop right here. So let's just slap it around a little. Yeah. Alright. So, anyway. So, at this point, you can choose to put some kind of oil on it, olive oil, cooking oil, any kind of oil. I don't, because I just don't. But if you want to, go ahead. Some people like doing that. But what I do is I put it up here in the microwave because I really don't want to put a towel and all that stuff or foil it. And if I just put it in the microwave, it just kind of, the only reason I do that is just no dust or hair will get in there while we give it 2 hours to rise. And don't worry, I won't be talking for the whole 2 hours here. This will not be a 2-hour plus video. I'm just going to cut out here and eat these cookies. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut out and I'm going to eat these cookies. And yeah, oh my goodness, these cookies are so good. I did an episode series. I don't know if I put a link on it or not yet, but I guess you gotta see it. And taking it out of my holster so I can move you guys around now. Hopefully you don't mind. There we go. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. Alright, I'll eat the rest of these cookies and then wait 2 hours. It is quite a process, and just give you a heads up, I mean, after 2 hours, it should rise. It's pretty warm, the dough, as I felt it, so it should be rising. And once it rises, you take it out again, and then we'll knead it just a little bit, because you need to form and shape it. So I can fit into this, and this is what I'm. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be. Get some light in here. And so this is what I'm going to be using. And you might see some discoloration in there because when I first used this, I was experimenting and I was trying to make cinnamon rolls in this thing, and supposedly it says it's non-stick, but that's all BS. When you buy something that's steel or any kind of metal and it claims it's, and again, this, I didn't buy really high quality, high end. I bought, the least expensive one that looked kind of durable. They say it's non-stick, but it's eventually over time that non-stick kind of wears off, and then it starts to stick. So what I do is I put oil on this, and I put the oil on the bottom, and I put the oil on the sides, and I oil this up, and I'll put the bread dough in here, and then once I get that done, guess where we're gonna go? We are gonna go out to the barbecue pit. This is not an oven, series where I'm gonna be using the oven. This is the barbecue pit series. Now, this is the if you've seen my other episodes, you've seen the setup, but if you haven't, I'll just give you a quick rundown. My burner, which I made with my welder and other cutting machines and various, like 3 or 4 barbecue pits. 2 burner system with the shelves on the side. See, 1 and then 2 sides. So then of course the propane down here. If you can see that, which was given to me, so I didn't have to pay full price for the propane tank. And then the way I got the light set up is I got one pointing at the barbecue pit right there, and the other one kind of pointing in that general direction, but especially right here so we can look around. So here's my barbecue pit. There's a little thermometer gauge right there, which I do use. I have many more thermometers which I should put on this at different areas just to get a better idea of the temperature. I haven't done it yet, but I will. But if you see my other series, you see me cook some chicken in here. Well, you can cook some bread in here too, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be cooking some bread. It's more of an oven type than a barbecue pit, but it's also a barbecue pit. I've cooked brisket in here 10 hours. And then on this side, you see, is I got some wood debris and everything. That's my fireplace, my little ghetto redneck, whatever you want to call it, fireplace barbecue oven thing. So that's where I'm going to be cooking tonight. Is in here. So we'll give it 2 hours, and we'll start cooking this up here. And by the time we come back, I'll get this preheated to about 350, and then I'll show you how I start baking the bread in this thing, and hopefully you'll see the finished product, and then you get some ideas of your own on how to make bread, and you realize how easy it is, and enjoy with your friends and family. Anyways, let's cut out here, and I'll continue on the next episode. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful to you guys. Please subscribe, and that way you can get the up-to-date feeds on other videos and other things that I'm doing here. And thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Bye.